Hi, good morning, guys. Well, of course, I thought this is the best time for us to brief you on the DBR assignment, and unfortunately, due to the time constraints, we were unable to do the briefing. So, since we have a lot of time in hand, then I thought that this is the best time for us to go through this the briefing, and then for you all to finish this assignment whatever the way that you can. I don't expect you to do 100% complete assignment, but then whatever you can do within this time, please finish, do it, and send it to me, that I'll do the correction, right? Okay, just to brief you on the DBR assignment 2020 June. This assignment is a very simple assignment, and then this is on brand plan. And then to start with, they're asking to consider you as a brand manager in a large scale organization which operates in Sri Lanka. You've been asked to present a report which thoroughly analyze the company's current brand performance along with plan to enhance the brand equity in the coming years. The board of directors want you to draw up a strategic brand management plan which identifies the challenges, right, in the business environment. So this is what we basically in every year, every semester, asked, and then the test you on. So you need to select a brand with which operates in a highly dynamic environment, which represent FMCG, telecom, or banking sector. So I think most of you guys are representing these sectors, and it is very much easy for you to work with your own brand, right? I mean, my advice is always to, as long as you can pick your own brand or a brand which you fond of. So then it's very easy for you to understand the entire brand dynamics, right? So there are 3 tasks in this particular assignment. The task number 1 is to carry out a comprehensive brand audit for selected brand. It should include both the macro and micro environmental analysis. And the part 2 in the question number 1 is identifying minimum of 3 category drivers of your selected brand. Okay, let me start from the beginning. The number 1 task for you is to write a report. So you as a brand manager, you need to write a report to your board of directors. So guys, first do a briefing on the selected brand. Now see, for example, if you picked a FMCG brand, like we'll say Lux, then you talk about Unilevers, and then talk about the brand Lux a bit, which is a comprehensive briefing, probably about half a page is enough. Then you start this so-called the task 1, which is not the task 1 which is here. The task 1 is that you have to consider you as a brand manager and write a report to board of directors. So you start with the date, and then to your board of directors or whatever, from then you, or either you can start from brand manager, Tarka Dyes, brand manager, Unilever LC, right? Then 2 is that the board of directors, right? And then the subject. So once that is done, your first requirement of this assignment is done, right? Unfortunately, most of students completely forget this. So if they ask you to write a report, you have to write a report, right? That is essential. That is something which is a must. If not, you certainly lose few marks in your assignment. Okay, now moving to the next task, which is the task 1, right? So all what you have to do is basically pick your brand. We'll say, for example, Lux. If you pick Lux, right, which is from Unilever, then all what you have to do is to do a micro and macro analysis. See, this micro and macro analysis is something that even in the PCM level you have learned, right? I mean, a student will be able to easily do. So get your brand and do an internal analysis, which is start with your SWOT analysis, all the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat about your organization, and which is internal and external. And then macro factors like pestle factors, your political, economical, social, technological, right, ethical, and legal. So you can do either pestle or pestle factors. So whatever it is, it's okay, right? Even if you do pestle factors, more than enough. So my advice for you is the easiest way is do it in a more table format, where that you find it easy to explain, as well as it is easy for the paper marker to basically mark your paper, right? So that is number 1 task. Then number 2, identifying minimum of 3 category drivers of your selected brands. Now see, for example, when most of a few like moving into a certain assignment, we'll have because we have not still covered the brand like strategy. So you might not have a simple understanding, or you might have certain doubts on these categories. Mean different categories. Now, so if for example, Unilever, if you take, then Unilever has different categories, like laundry, then household care, skin care, then skin and cleansing, then oral care, savories, and etc, etc. These are different categories. That's mean like one particular segment it represent, right? For example, if you take a brand like we say Maggie have different categories, right? Maggie has like Maggie noodles, one category. Then probably they have Maggie polkiri is another category. Like then probably they have Maggie's soup is another category. So you can take these different categories under the selected brand, right? So that is what it requires. Identify minimum of 3 category drivers of your selected brand. Then task number 2, right? So that is all about task number 1. Then you come into the task number 2, or what it does is like number 1, use the brand identity prism to articulate your brand readiness for the next shift. So the number 2 out of the task 2 is elaborate how a marketing mix can be used to implement brand strategy in market. Right. Now, task number 2, question number 1, right? Use the brand identity prism. I think since most of you all were in the class and we have done this in practically, you will have a better understanding on what is brand identity prism is all about. See, as I said very clearly, understand what we have done in the class. So apply the same thing, right, to your brand that you have selected. For example, if you select Lux, so what is your brand identity prism? So it's about the physics, which that everything that you see from outside, that is your name, the shape, color, logo, tagline, manufacturing date to expiry date, to everything that you see, although visible in your pack, which is Lux, right, which is the physics. Then the culture. See, we have learned so much of cultural aspects in that, right? So the culture is like, if it is your brand, my physics is whatever that you can see from outside. The culture is that the culture that I represent, right? That's like the way I come from, my family, my probably college that I've studied at, and then like all my relatives, my religion, then surroundings, and then all in all like my village as well as your country. So that represents your culture. This creates a personality. We have learned 5 personality traits, namely sincerity, sophistication, right, rough and rugged, then a competence and excitement. So picked your traits out of these, and then define your brand personality traits. Then it builds an image. We have learned what is image is all about. Well, of course, I've given you some examples, as well as we have worked on in the class in terms of the words to describe this image, right? Always remember, image is like tattoo. So what you basically engraved in your mind, right? So that is your image. Then there are 2 words like image and imagery. Image is, as a brand manager, what I want to basically portray in your mind, and imagery is what that you understand through the experience, or these 5 senses. Use your 5 senses and you understand the brand. That is your image. Then get into reflection, brand reflection. Yeah, what does exactly reflect as? Is it youth, it's beauty, right? It is probably like the classy or whatever, that reflection, right? Then gets into the relationships. So all these things, if a customer understand properly, they build a relationship with you, right? It's like probably kingship, loyalty, some sort of a special relationship, right? So this is what we need to understand. So the brand physics is brand actually, when you take this so-called prism, is not something completely out, but understand from yourself, then from the brand that you have picked, and then as we have done in the class, just put it across, then that part is done. So In the task one, question number one is that prism. Question number two, elaborate how a marketing mix can be used to implement brand strategy in the market. Now, this is what from the first day itself I was explaining to you about your segmentation, targeting, positioning. Yeah. So to talk about the marketing mix, well, of course, you have to pick your lux and then first do a proper segmentation targeting to understand lux exactly fit in which segment of the entire the globe or the community that which we are going to address, and based on that segment do the targeting. Yeah, geographically where exactly it is, then what are the demographics of that, and then the lifestyle. Once you do that, it is very much easy for you to do the positioning, which is with marketing mix. Yeah, so all what they ask is about the marketing mix, the product, the price, the place, the promotion, to and the other service factors. So you can easily explain with the example that you have picked, right? So then the task one, then task two done. So the task three is something which you have not done so far, but again, going back to your marketing communication, you have done this. Task three, first question is prepare a digital marketing communication plan which includes communication objectives that are to be achieved in the next 2 years. Two is propose with a justification aligned or brand extension strategy which will suit this brand. Well, this particular part, which is the brand extension, which we have not done yet, and also the brand communication. So since you have done this brand communication in another subject, I will just explain to you. See, when it comes to marketing, this is all about marketing communication. We have online communication, offline communication. So fortunately, you've been asked only about online communication. When it comes to online communication, it's all about what? It's all on e-commerce, right? Something like we're talking about straightaway website, web marketing. So whatever the brand that you have, you take it to a web base which is online. So you have a store which is ordinary. So for example, you say that Odell, and then you take it onto online, which you create the website and you basically transfer all these products and whatever the services you have into that online store, and then you do the exact what you do in the normal store in the online store. So you use your product, you use your price, your place in terms of distribution, where exactly you distribute. Even you have it online, there are certain restrictions in terms of distribution. You might say that, okay, we distribute only within Colombo, and you might say that we might probably tap the main districts or island-wide or worldwide. So this we have to explain, right, in terms of the place which is distribution. Then promotions, every promotion that you do offline, you can do online as well. And you can use special discounts like giveaways, sampling, free, whatever that you want to give, and etc. etc. So you can use this mix in this online platform as well. So what we do is we create a proper website, we create this online store, and then we basically start up doing all these promotions. Like we can use social media, we can use your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. in terms of giving the right boost for the products that you want to basically market, right? So your digital marketing communication plan, which includes communication objectives. The objectives could be long term and short term, which you need to identify, and obviously that your objectives, whether it is digital objectives or your online offline objectives, are more or less the same, right? I mean, which that you want to be the number one brand or you want to be the number two brand. So you have a general brand objective which supported by this marketing communication online and offline, right? That's what you basically have to understand. So use your marketing communication knowledge and address this particular area. Then the final one is propose with justification a line of brand extension strategy which will suit the brand. So now, I mean, I'm not going to elaborate the entire brand extension or brand line extension, right? Now, propose with justification line or brand extension. Now, when it comes to brand extension, there are different ways of that you can do it, right? When it comes to extensions, you can do either line extension or category extension. Even when it comes to line extension, you can do like horizontal, then the vertical, the horizontal. Now, so for example, now you have your Lux soap, So you can have a horizontal line extension as Lux Liquid Soap, Coke, Diet Coke. Now these are the different line extension, or we can do some category extensions. You have your brand, which is like, for example, like easy brand to understand is a Nike. Nike, you have one category which is called shoes. Then you can have another category as a Nike clothing, and you can have another category as Nike, we'll say some specific product related, like golf, or like Nike, we'll say perfumeries, or energy drinks, something like that. So these are the extensions that you can create. But my advice for you is that try to finish up to task 3, question number 1, right, until the communication. And then when we meet up at the next time in the class, that I will go in detail briefing on the so-called brand extension. But if you understand what I say through this example of Lux Soap to Lux Liquid, which is the line extension, which goes under the underline extension, which is horizontal extension. If you can Google it and find more examples, then you can basically finish it. But if not, right, I will advise you to hold into that question and then finish the rest. And once again, I wish all of you, safe and healthy stay. Enjoy your stay, like at home, and then most importantly, don't forget whatever we have done. So we have done a couple of units. Please take out those the PPT slides and go through, and then try to answer my questions, like which I always ask, right? And I'm asking very few questions from you on each unit. I hope that you all can remember. So try to visualize, try to remember those questions and try to answer those questions. So as long as that you can answer the question that I asked, and then be sure that you are ready for your examination. So all the best with the assignment. And once you finish this, right, please email to me. My email address is diastaraka@gmail.com. It's diastaraka@gmail.com. So all the best. Thanks and cheers.